Okay, welcome to episode 7 of the Sean McGuinness podcast, joined in person by Andrew Big Texan Davis.
What's happening, Mr. Sean?
Now, before we go, for those who don't know, and you should, give us a little bit of a rundown. Who is the Big Texan? Give us a little background in your fitness industry and your long industrious career.
Oh my God. Man, I've been a trainer, a PT for, I think now 19 or 20 years now, since I was 17 years old.
Wow.
And I was an absolute shit PT for those first 10 years probably.
Don't talk about that yet because it's on the.
What's that?
That's on the questions.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm from Texas. I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, yeah, man, I came to Australia about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And fitness is such a massive thing here. Yeah. That I found my way back into the fitness industry as I got out of it for a while.
Because you had a gym in Texas, didn't you?
It was in Arkansas. It was a CrossFit gym. So I owned a box for about 2 years. Yes. And then I coached at other CrossFit boxes when I sold that and moved back to Texas. And then I actually was a school teacher for 5 years. So I taught. Yeah,
Coach Davis?
Yeah, Coach Davis. In fact, yeah, I was coach. That's what they know me from back home, so Coach Davis. But I coached football, basketball. I was a baseball coach, a wrestling coach, and then I taught algebra and history.
Shit, all around.
Yeah, mate. I've done it all, man.
If you picture a typical American football person in Texas, that is Andrew Davis to a T, all around that athlete.
Yeah. I played baseball in college. I was an athlete pretty much my whole life. I did a little bit of semi-pro stuff. I thought I was really a lot better than I was, but in Texas, man, if you're not just phenomenal, you don't go very far in baseball. So it kind of reality set in at about 25 years old, and I quit playing, and then I started coaching and teaching.
So it means your brain will be intact. You won't get CTE.
Very true. Yeah, man, I actually still have flashbacks from a couple concussions from football that man, it sticks around. And I played through high school, but I didn't play anything after that. It was baseball through college and stuff like that. So, but that stuff's real.
And Andrew, when you came to Australia, was personal training manager, was that your first job in Australia?
Nah, so I managed an Anytime Fitness. Yeah. When I moved over here, I couldn't work for 3 months because of the visa process. So I had 3 months of basically. So
that's when you're a cash in hand stripper.
Yeah, I was a cash in hand stripper. Actually, I came over with $20,000 illegally on accident. I didn't know you had to declare it, and I didn't really. Maybe I'm incriminating myself a little bit, but.
So Anytime Fitness? Yeah, so I was a manager at Anytime Fitness
for about 6 months, and I absolutely hated it. It was just a job. Yeah. My wife at month 2 was like, hey, you got to get a job in a month. And I was like, nah. Because before that I was getting lost in the city in different areas and working my way back, learning the public transport system. Yeah. But so from Anytime Fitness, I saw a job offer on Seek for... the personal training manager job at Fitness First at George Street.
Yes, and that's how funny little scenario happened with a few people you may know, where Davis rocked in. I think the first day he had fucking camouflage
cargo pants on, and
everyone's like, "There's this new personal training manager," and he was ex-military, and he rocks in.
Not quite. Yeah, no, it was actually
a scary big boy.
Yeah, it was, I pretty much take everything with a full head of steam, and I always put my full effort into things, and I was really looking forward to that job. I was actually supposed to be the PT manager at Randwick Fitness First, but at the very last minute, at the 12th hour, the district manager, whatever his name was, state manager, came in and asked me if I'd go to George Street in the city, and it actually made more sense to me because I lived pretty close to the city.
I think his name was...
Chris Reed.
Fuckhead.
Yeah. No. He's actually pretty nice, man. I actually kind of like Chris. He was good to me, but I know that people had some issues with him. He's no longer with Fitness First anymore. But he's always been kind of cool to me.
So you started as PTM there, and then we had a few recognizable names there on the team sheet at the time.
That was like a good one. We had Darren Cartel, James Smith,
Coach Cartel,
Graham McKenzie.
Graham Morris.
Is that right? Graham Morris. I don't know why I say Graham McKenzie. Graham Morris, Shawnee MG, you, and then let's see who else we have. We had Simon. Simon I've known for a long time now. He used to live underneath me.
So that's when obviously how we all know each other.
Yeah.
Me, you, Darren, James, then end up all at one point doing work together for James's Academy.
And James had 6,000 followers when I was there.
Yeah, right
when I rocked up, he had 6,000 followers.
It's amazing.
And then now he has 600,000.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was a good run. That was a good group of people. He was actually going out as I was coming in, but I he was there for about 4 months or so. Yeah. Him and Darren left together actually,
which is some unbelievable success stories. Now I think it did shock you about the kind of, let's say, standard between the good and the bad, where you've seen Sydney CBD. You'd expect some good trainers,
absolutely, but man,
and then it's a dangerous setup.
It really is, man. Because you do have some high caliber trainers in these facilities, but then you have like entry level PTs that are just getting their certification and coming into the fitness industry, and they're charging like $120 an hour, and it's like absolutely insane. It's almost like a disservice to clients, and I think there's a lot of disservice in the fitness industry, and a lot of people that really don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because, like I said before, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing for 10 years. I had no idea. No clue. No, absolutely no fucking clue. I didn't know what I knew what a calorie deficit was. I knew a little bit about gaining muscle, but when it came to like actual principles of fitness, I did not fucking know because I didn't do the work. I didn't pay my dues. I didn't do all the work. The fitness industry in itself, the certification process is the biggest load of shit ever. It's garbage. Like the stuff that they make you learn is not even relevant to a personal trainer's journey. And, it'd be much better doing more hands-on stuff and having real trainers that have been in the industry teach these people as opposed to just somebody that has a fucking job.
The one thing I like about you is that you're very empathetic towards people in general, and you take it to fucking heart.
Yeah, man.
When like people are getting into service, not only on the gym floor, but I know you're making your way around these Facebook groups that are giving advice out, and you're seeing, what was it? Someone asked, what's the best exercise for fat loss?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
All these comments,
mate. I'm on like these keto groups and stuff, and like
which is good to get stuff for content, but it cuts you a little bit.
Yeah, no, it does cut you. You see people taking advantage of other people, and it's a disservice to just as a human being that people will profit off of your ignorance and your inability to understand things, and they'll take advantage of you. And it's so prevalent in the fitness industry, and it's probably the most important thing to somebody is their health and their well-being and their fitness. Because with fitness, mindset is related to fitness and mental health. Mental health is related to movement. And then you have literally health, like eating principles. And hell, I had an eating disorder for 8 years. I literally had an eating disorder for 8 years.
What did you do?
I had bulimia, so I had this body image issue growing up because I didn't have like a six pack, and I was very athletic. My brother was a very lean guy, had abs, very athletic, good looking guy, tan, and here I am like a short, chubby, fat, redheaded kid with jelly rolls.
Overweight when you were a kid?
Yeah, I was pretty overweight. I wasn't like really fat, but I was chubby. I was really chubby.
That's all it takes for some people to get one up on you.
Mate, yeah, I had rolls and stuff, and thank God I was a good athlete. And people would make fun of me during the week, but then I'd kick their ass on the field. So I had this one up thing always. I was pretty much the best on every one of my teams. But the problem was I had no self-esteem, I had no self-confidence, and I had this really weird body image issue at a very young age. And I'm talking like, I remember when I was 8 years old in third grade having a body image issue, redheaded, chubby, and then it just progressively got worse as I got older. And it developed into bulimia when I was about 19 years old. I was in my first year of college. Stress levels were really high. Body image issues were really high. I was at a really big university. And I started, I literally started to where I couldn't eat certain foods because I thought they were going to make me fat. And I didn't know what a calorie deficit was. I didn't know the principles of fitness. So that was in my head.
And the crazy thing, kind of in-house psychology job, is you'll never spot a bulimic person.
Never, no.
You can't get skinny from it. You
exactly.
retain like most of the calories that you eat straight away.
Yeah, no, exactly. And learning... Going and doing my public speaking talks at schools, I've learned that there's actually a massive percentage of teenage boys that have bulimia. Yeah. And there's like a ward in the hospital that is part of the mental health ward that is literally specific to boys with bulimia.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it's like got a waiting list. So I'm actually trying to get my foot in the door there to go and actually talk to these kids because
Yeah, that's amazing.
The reason why it was so hard for me is because I didn't know anybody that ever had it. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really know until I started researching it, and every article I ever read was about girls. It wasn't attributed to men. It didn't happen to men, and there was definitely no athletic-looking fitness type of people that had bulimia that were talking about it. Yeah. So I didn't really know what it was until I was in my mid-20s, and by that time I've been doing it for about 6-7 years.
It's crazy. And I think right when you eat, your digestive process goes, so you retain like 60, 70, 80% of your calories. And
even before you choke, really? See, I didn't know that. Yeah, I did not know that.
Which is why you'll never see a skinny bulimic person.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So I guess the anorexia is when you see
anorexia,
because you don't eat at all, basically. The problem wasn't me eating. The problem was me eating the food and then just getting rid of it immediately. Like, I remember, it was the craziest thing ever.
These days with tell clients is obviously food's so hyper-palatable, so pleasurable for your brain,
right,
that at the time, once you eat something processed and it hits the reward center of your brain, you can't stop eating.
Oh, mate.
That's why it is a quote-unquote kind of drug in the fact when it hits the same center, which is why you're only after, you're like, fuck.
And then I did kind of, I don't know if this is anorexia or what, but I got to the point where I would only eat, I wouldn't eat any foods that had fat in them. I would go and find fat-free food because I thought fat was making me fat.
Like it, fuck.
I thought fat was making me fat, so it just makes sense. Fat makes sense.
It's the same word. They probably should have named that a different word.
Exactly.
Looking at it now.
Well, I mean, if you go to it's highly marketable, like fat-free foods. People are going to attribute fat to being fat. When you were growing up,
that was the low-fat era.
It really was a low-fat era. Was it the Atkins diet?
Yeah,
the Atkins diet. So,
and then people thought you would get really high cholesterol, like dietary cholesterol and food cholesterol. So dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol, they thought that was the same thing.
Right.
Which is like, don't eat butter, you're going to get high cholesterol. Take the yolks out of your eggs.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did it. I did all of it. I bought fat-free yogurt. I bought fat-free meals. I was buying anything that was fat-free, I would eat it. But if it had anywhere from 10 grams of fat and on, I would not eat it. I literally would not fucking eat it. It was the craziest thing ever. And I really didn't know what I was doing.
So that's good. So that's kind of where I find a lot of the good coaches have not a background, but they've been through a process that helps them develop a sense of empathy, which then carries them as a very, very good coach.
Right. I agree.
Like, you'll see people who are a bit more blessed genetically, maybe a quote-unquote traditional bodybuilder who's always been big, or they can't understand the client's mentality. They can't understand where the client's coming from.
The relatability.
They can't relate to them. I don't understand why this person won't go to the gym every day or won't eat chicken and broccoli every week. They don't have that.
Right. The empathy. It's being empathetic. And I think that our mess that we go through is our message. So I have to, obviously I go and talk to kids now about this stuff and eating disorders and body image, because I realize how hard it is on you. And I went through some dark times, man. I remember, there was times when I was just so depressed. I had anxiety. I still have anxiety to a certain extent, but I've been doing lots of self-development the last year and really getting a hold of that. And I found that you can only control two things in life. You can control your perception, and you can control your behavior. And everything else is out of your control.
It was pretty point in the time we're in now, which is why I wanted to get you on it. In the fact that and then these thoughts. So I used to think that I can control my thoughts, and you can't control your thoughts at all, but you can control how you respond to your thoughts and if you believe them at all, because your thoughts will lie to you. And a lot of that's childhood trauma. I went through a lot of childhood trauma when I was young. That's what I talked about. Was it last week before? Your identity and your self-beliefs, but it's all formed when you're just a sponge. You're not in control of all that stuff that happens.
And it's recycled thoughts from that time. And you'll recycle those thoughts your whole entire life until you do something about it. And how you do that is you don't believe your thoughts.
Because we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like I said, they're recycled.
Most of them are bullshit.
Well, do you know that the stresses that we have in life are universal? For one, everybody worries about the same shit. And those are the same stresses that people stressed about when we were writing on tablets back in Gilgamesh, the first, recorded history. So these thoughts are just thoughts that everybody's been struggling with and worrying about their entire life, and they're universal. So you think that you're on an island by yourself with the stuff you think about and the stuff you struggle with, but the truth is we're all connected that way. And if people would be more aware of the thoughts, that they don't have to believe them. Like you do not have to believe your thoughts. And that's where my anxiety came from, is believing my thoughts, and then the depression.
So what were you believing about yourself? Give us some examples.
Dude, because I'm not good enough. I'm not, I'm not worthy. Like I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve to have money.
Stuff. I was actually talking to Louise about this today, in the fact that one little sentence your teacher said to you when you're young, all that like little stuff that they mightn't think anything of it, or it could be a peer, has just stuck with you ever since.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
you're just using confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias is huge.
You're just going to confirm what you believe, and then that's it.
Exactly right. I agree, and I still have stuff that was said from my parents. And, I don't have the greatest relationship with my parents. We don't talk a lot. Mm-hmm. There was some childhood trauma there. Now, you can't pick and choose what you love about people. You have to accept them for everything. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you have to be in their lives 100%. You can create boundaries, which I had to do. Yeah. And, I'm okay with that. But I remember one thing my mom said to me was that she said that I was her investment. No. And I was like, what the fuck does that supposed to mean? Like, I think that the way she said it, and this is kind of hard to talk about because I've never actually talked about this, but she said I was her investment, and I felt like I'd let her down because I wasn't able to support her financially at my mid-20s and late 20s when I was working. And like that really hurt me, because that's childhood trauma. That's trauma. I still think about that every single day. Now, do I believe that anymore? Absolutely not. It's not my responsibility to be somebody else's investment. They should have been their own investment. Mm-hmm. I'm my own investment. I would never make somebody feel like they owe me anything or they need to take care of me, because the only person that can take care of me is myself. And you can't control. And another thing that I know is you can't control other people. We have so many people out there that are trying to control situations. Take our event right now that's happening, the Corona thing. We have no control over this, but we do have the ability to see the positives of it and the negatives, and be right in the middle, be in a neutral position, and be in a power position, a power of humbleness and calm, and a position where we're not overconfident and we're not too negative. We see the upside and the downside of everything.
Or just watch the news all day, put your system in pure fight or flight, and then just suppress your immune system, so you probably will get it and die. What
you get in life is what you put your focus and attention on. And if you're constantly putting your focus and attention on negative shit, well, you're going to get a negative result. You can't expect to be happy when you're constantly focusing on negative stuff. Like, it's just not possible. Exactly. So,
So that's cool. So what was the point then where you start to challenge your beliefs? Because this is the basis. Even what I was talking about last. There should be certain beliefs you have around fat loss. It could be. I've tried this so many times. But what was the
catalyst?
Yeah, what was the catalyst?
Mate, I remember I went to Christmas and it was like, man, this is like in 2000 and this is probably like 2009, 2010. That was one of the last times well, not the last time, because bulimia stuck with me for quite a while. Even to my early 30s, it stuck with me every now and then, but it wasn't as bad. But I do remember on a Christmas, I had, did my thing in the restroom, and I clogged the restroom up, and it like flooded the whole restroom. My uncle had like $1 million house in Texas, a really nice place, and like he comes up and he's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Is your girlfriend? Is your girlfriend got an eating disorder?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess so." So I blamed it on my girlfriend at the time, but it was me, and I was really embarrassed about it. And then I just started feeling like shit all the time. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, "Man," I really need to change. I was like, "This is really starting to affect me mentally, and it's starting to affect my relationships. It's starting to definitely affect the relationship I have with myself." And I was like, "Man, I want to learn about fitness and nutrition and actually understand what the hell I'm doing." And that's when I started researching bulimia. That's when I started researching carbs, fats, proteins, calorie deficit. And even then, even knowing the principles of calorie deficit and fats, carbs, and proteins, I still thought there was a catch. I still thought that there was something that I needed a perfect workout plan, that there was a workout plan that was specific to fat loss, and I felt like there was a specific diet that everybody had to have. Like, I felt like there was like a formula that I was looking for. But my mentality definitely changed. And then, just recently in the last couple of years, I've battled with mental health issues and anxiety my entire life. And just in the last 2 years, I've really gotten a hold on it, where I've worked with some coaches from the UK. I worked with Byron Katie. If you don't know who that is, it's an amazing person. She's an amazing human. I worked just off of her free stuff that she has on her website. Yeah. I'd love to work with her one-on-one. I don't know if I can afford that bill, though. But I think it's important that you find somebody that you resonate with. Now, I resonated with Paul Mort. Paul Mort had a drug addiction. If you're not familiar with Paul Mort, he's from the UK. He was a personal trainer turned mindset coach, and now he's like headlining events. He's a phenomenal human being, and he has a program that I did, and he was the catalyst to me really getting deep into my mental health and really focusing on not just understanding it, but putting it into action and actually putting things into consistent action and putting my focus and attention on things that I wanted in life, as opposed to being focused on the shit that was going wrong in my life. Because if you just focus on the wrong shit that's going on, it's just going to perpetuate and it's just going to keep happening.
So let's just relate it back to fat loss a little bit. What are some of the, limiting beliefs that you work with clients and you find to have? It could be what I talked about last week. People have a kind of formed identity from the belief, I'm just a lazy person. You know? Yeah,
well, that's true. If you think that you're a lazy person, you're going to be a lazy fucking person. Yeah. You have to change that identity, and how you do that is you assume the person you want to be. You have to assume that person. And that goes down to what you talk, how you speak to yourself for one, and how you speak to other people. If you go around talking about how you're fat and you're always going to be fat, well, you're always going to be fat. But if you walk around and tell people that, you know what, I'm going to do something about this, and I'm not a fat person, I'm a motivated person, and I can do this, and you start identifying as that, it's. I heard I don't remember who I heard this from, but it was like, instead of you saying, you know, you're a fat person, say what would a healthy person do? Or if like you're coming to the crossroads of eating a really bad meal versus cutting back a little bit, it's like, what would a healthy person do? And you have to ask yourself these questions, and you have to assume the identity of the person that you want to become. Because if you can't believe it in your head, it's never going to happen in real life. Because reality, your thoughts become your reality.
100%. That's what I talked about last week, and the fact that a lot of people come in, they're out of shape, they're overweight, and they'll go, Andrew, what's my calories at? What do I need to be eating? Where they should be thinking exactly around this stuff. What habits do I need to put in place to become a lean person? Your job should be to become that person, not just
mentally,
not just be an overweight person on a diet.
Yeah,
you need to become that person in every way.
In every way, like I said, the way you speak to people, the way you talk to yourself, your habits, your daily habits. Like, is a healthy person wake up and throw down on biscuits and shit like that? Do you consume a bunch of sugar in the morning? Or, in habits are everything, because motivation is going to run out. Yeah. So I think people so want to be motivated. If you are relying on motivation, you're going to fucking fail. 100%. Period. If you rely on motivation, you will fail at anything in your life, because guess what? Motivation runs out. You get bored. Yeah. When it's not new anymore, it becomes boring. And then when something becomes boring, you're left with one thing. You're left with the habit that you've created. Yeah. And if you haven't created the habit, then you're fighting a losing battle. Yeah. And I think so many people... That's why you see all these fitness trends and these trends that work over and over again, and people go from fad to diet to eating fucking aloe vera and shit like that, is because they're just looking for the next thing, and that's why to excite them.
I fucking hate influencers and all these people post on social media, because they'll post a meal prep and them smiling, and they'll post them smiling at the gym, and people go, am I supposed to be happy when I'm working out? But the actual reality of it is in your head before you're going to train. You're like, oh, fuck, I really don't want to train today.
Man, and you have to have habits.
You need to just get used to that.
And one thing, the book Atomic Habits taught me so much about habits, and it really brought it into real life, into actionable stuff, is attaching a new habit to a habit that you already do.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you have running shoes, right? Well, if they're in your fucking closet and they're not in sight... Yeah. What's the cue for you to get your running shoes on and go run? Well, there isn't one. Habit stacking. Put your shoes out in front of the fucking door, and as soon as those running shoes go on, you're going outside to run. That's the cue. The cue, the stacked habit was you don't have to think about putting your shoes on.
Yeah, you just need one trigger that will cause a domino effect.
Exactly right. After you cook breakfast, you take a cold shower or whatever it is, man. There's so many ways to do this, but yet people are making it very difficult for themselves. And I have one that's resetting the room the night before, getting the room ready for the next day.
Well, it's even more important now with people training from home. I said the same thing. I would say, you want to stack your habit, I did it this morning. Because it will go throughout the day, and I'll end up making excuses, and I'll never train. So I'm going to have my coffee. That's already an established habit.
100%.
Once I finish that coffee, I'm going to train straight away.
Training, yeah.
And now you've habit stacked, and then that's going to become ingrained even more.
Here's a good one. Have you ever heard of the 3-second rule?
No.
Mel Robbins.
I've heard it when it comes to food dropping on the ground. But.
yeah. Well, that's the 5-second rule. The 3-second rule is if you come to a point where you need to make a decision and the thought pops in your head, you have 3 seconds to act upon it and do something towards that habit, or your brain will literally go into preservation mode, and it will give you every single excuse to not do it because it's trying to protect you. It's trying to get. It's
your
like
brain's lazy.
It's lazy as fuck, man. It's trying to preserve you. That's what it's doing.
Energy.
So the 3-second rule is this: is that as soon as you get the thought about doing something, you need to act on it in 3 seconds. It's like, think of a rocket: 3, 2, 1, boom, go. And then there's another guy named Charlie Rocket. That's this really obese kid. He was so out of shape, and then he started calling himself Charlie Rocket. And his little saying was in his bed. He would 3, 2, 1, and he reminded himself as a rocket. And he would jump out of bed and start training. Well, he ended up getting sponsored by Nike. He does Ironmans all the time. This guy runs all the time. It's a pretty good story. His name, I can't remember his last name, but it's Charlie Rocket, and he has like literally a sponsorship by Nike because of the 3-second rule. And it's Mel Robbins is a lady that was she's an influencer. She's a mindset coach. She's been on Lewis Howes' podcast. She is amazing, and she told the story how her life would just got turned upside down in a matter of one bad investment from her husband. He owned a bunch of businesses and pizza stores in New Jersey or somewhere. And they all failed. They opened a new one and it failed, and they lost like $2 or $3 million in one go, and like it ruined their life. They had to like take their kids out of like sports. They couldn't afford anything. Their mortgages were all fucked up. They're about to lose their house, and she was just laying in bed being depressed. And then one morning she woke up and she saw a rocket on the TV, and it said 3, 2, 1, and then that's when her life changed. Is when she jumped out of bed and she started making a difference, and now she's got like. I think she's probably got 500,000 followers, and she's a mindset coach. And there's the Byron Katie lady. She was laying on her. She's an older lady. Well, she's still beautiful if she's out there listening. She's about. She is, of course. She's an older lady. She's very wise. But she said that she was laying in her floor, and like a cockroach crawled on her, and she just let it keep crawling on her. Wow. And that was her catalyst to like make a change. She was like, I cannot believe I've let my life get this bad.
I hate cockroaches.
I mean, I do too. They're awful, man. Oh, I just had a bad experience with a bunch of cockroaches.
That's why I live on the 25th floor. It's no cockroaches up here.
There's 0 up here, man. You can't get anything up here. Nah, I'm the same, man.
No corona, no cockroaches.
No. Anyway.
But no, that's cool, because that's especially what we were talking about last week. Someone asked, it's very hard. I'm out my routine. Obviously, people that work from home. I'm finding it very hard to train, and same thing, habit stacking, and just like you said, stop thinking about how hard your workout is going to be, what you have to do. Just put your shoes on.
Well, you'll talk your way out of it.
Yeah, put your shoes on, and that will lead to the next thing, and then you might put your music on, and don't think about anything else.
No, and just go. Even if you want to build the habit, just go to the gym for 5 minutes. Get in the routine of getting in the bus or the car, going to the gym, even if you don't even get out of the parking lot. And the next time, do a little bit more. Go to the front door, open the door, go in for 5 minutes, do some stretching, then leave. And the next day, go for 10 minutes. Eventually, your ass is going to go and say, you know what, I'm here. I might as well just work out. And then find something you enjoy. If you don't fucking like going to the gym and doing a body weight or a bodybuilding workout, try CrossFit, try Olympic lifting, try swimming. Just something that you enjoy that takes your mind off what you're doing.
And even like people find it hard to measure progression with habits. As you said, they have that motivated spike at the start. It's kind of the shiny bird syndrome where someone jumps on a new plan. I'm very motivated, and we'll get it with online clients. I'm gonna do whatever you say, coach. I'm gonna do 3-4 weeks in. I'm not feeling that yet.
Exactly. Well, it takes 60 days to build a habit. So that my whole program is based on 60 days building a habit. So
that's just one.
That's just one habit. But you can do a few at the same time. And that's another thing is don't have too many damn goals at one time. Focus on one thing at a time and build that habit, and then focus on something else.
But what I was going to say with the habits is to measure your progression. Like you said, measure the perceived kind of effort the same way you would in a gym. So at the start you find it very, very, very hard.
Yep.
And then it might just be very hard after a few weeks. Then hard. Then it gets easier. And then now you're on the way. You need to get to the stage where you're doing it automatically.
Yep.
Then you've ticked it off. But until you get to that point, forget about motivation. Forget everything and just keep doing it until you.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Habit stacker or habit trackers.
Yeah,
actually ticking. There's some really good apps. All you really need is a piece of paper and write your habits down and then put 31 boxes in it for the 31 days or 60 days or whatever, and just tick the boxes off. It's called "Don't Breaking the Chain" or "Don't Break the Chain." Is when you tick a box or three in a row, you're less likely to not tick the fourth box. So you'll just keep doing it so you get that tick mark. Even if you half-ass it, you're still doing the habit. And that's how you build.
That works very, very well. It does. Some people.
I have to do that.
Become very anal. It's why they have on the Apple Watches. You have to join the 3 rings.
Exactly.
Because it will just do your head in if you're sitting there and the ring's nearly to the end. You're like, all right, I'll just get my few steps.
That's right.
You're playing to all these little games, the little dopamine hits that your brain gets.
Get rewards. You need rewards. Yeah. You got to reward yourself, and not like I don't mean like go grab a fucking donut because you worked out, but like reward yourself somehow. What was it? I do this. So I'm obviously we use social media a lot and that's very addicting. Yeah. So when I'm working, I respond to 10 messages and then I can check my phone. And then I go back and I do 10 messages and I check my phone. But there's so many times that I'm just like, my hand's going towards my phone and then like I've only done a few and then I'm like, fuck, I got to not do that. I have to go back and do 10. So you have to hold yourself accountable that way. Yeah, man. So.
But yeah, I use the same. And this has come from people who have literally trained all their life, being quote-unquote athletes, fatleets, all their lives.
I was a fatleet growing up. I was such a lazy motherfucker growing up, man. I didn't work out until I was in last year of high school.
Just they envision us and go, Sean must go to the gym and just love it and like love the process. It's like no,
man. It's just habit. I feel like shit if I don't don't do something, and then it has to be the gym.
We do it for the feeling after.
Exactly.
But the going bit, the devil on your shoulder never changes.
And shit, just today, I woke up in a shitty mood, man. I was in this worst mood ever. I was supposed to go hang out with a friend in Newcastle. But I was like, man, the social distancing, and I'm just not right. I don't want to go. It's Easter.
Don't worry, we're 1.5 away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, man, I got to do my part and do the right thing. But man, I felt like shit all morning. I was fucking, I just was lazy. My mental health was off. I don't know where it I can't attribute it to anything. It's just, some people have bad days and that's okay. You can't expect to have a good day every day. Yeah. So, but it sucked. And then I would say about 1 o'clock, I was like, you know what? It's a beautiful day. It's beautiful outside. It's sunny. It was like 25 degrees. I literally got my workout clothes on, and I grabbed all my equipment to go work out. Yeah. When I say equipment, I have a damn sand bell and then a couple rubber bands that are tied together because I've broken them so many fucking times. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm going to go run. Yeah. So instead, I went and ran, and then I did abs for. I did abs for about 20 minutes. So, and I never do abs, I hardly ever do them because I get them from my lifting. But I did abs after I ran, and then I literally meditated for 20 minutes straight, like 20 minutes, and I followed Byron Katie's guided meditation. And then you know what? I felt so much better after that. Yeah. But it was the fact that I changed my physiology, and I changed what I was focusing on. I wasn't focusing on being miserable or being in a bad mood. I changed my physiology by moving. And then I changed my focus and attention by meditating. And man, my day went from being shit to being really fucking good.
And especially in today's world, again, people are either going to go two ways. They're going to go good or they're going to go very bad. And even if it comes to like eating and nutrition, I find it very hard to eat good when I'm not training.
Right. Oh, me too, mate. Yeah. I ate 7 tacos one day last week or 2 weeks ago. I ate 7 fucking tacos, and I wasn't training at all.
If you're not training regularly, you're kind of, what's the point? So it's a domino effect that you're trying to create. You can either go down the rabbit hole of I'm not going to train, and then I'm going to comfort eat to make me feel better, and then that's a vicious cycle.
It's a spiral, man.
Your mental health's going to go all over the place.
Mental health is related to movement. So if your mental health is struggling and you don't move a lot, that's the first thing you can do because... you have to change your state. This is Paul Moore. Change your state. And the only way you can change your state is by changing your physiology. You can move. You can listen to a podcast. You can dance. You can roll your shoulders back. Your posture has a lot to do with it. Or you can change where you put your focus and attention on. That's the only 2 ways to change your state. That's it.
And I think people who may be a bit more out of shape when they start off, it takes longer for them to get that positive reinforcement of feeling good, because they may be very sore after their sessions constantly, and it might take. It's kind of like when you start jiu-jitsu. It's like you're like, everyone tells you get to the first 6 months. Don't expect to kind of quote unquote feel good until that point. And then you can, but you just have to stick with it until the point.
Definitely. You just anything in life, being uncomfortable is where that growth is. Yeah. To have growth and to have progression in life, you have to be uncomfortable, and you have to run towards those fears. You have to run towards being uncomfortable and want to. You have to feel that, and it's very important for us to be that. And if not, we're going to self-preserve. Yeah. And we're going to constantly do that. And then you're going to build a habit of self-preservation. Yeah. And then you're going to back away from everything, any kind of obstacle. And, that book, Obstacle is the Way, that's another great book where it tells you that the obstacle in your path is the way to go. That's like a fucking flag saying, go this way. And you have to be uncomfortable.
So, that angel and devil, it's on everyone's shoulders.
Everybody has it. The devil is there to...
Don't train today. You need a rest day. And that's right. All this... which is kind of, in a sense, cognitive dissonance. You're justifying not doing it, but you just need to be aware of the biases our brains have.
Right.
And we all have it. That's
we
why
all do.
I hate all the social media people looking so
perfect all the time.
Perfect,
it's bullshit, man. It's a fallacy.
I'll kill you in every way possible.
It's a fallacy, and you're seeing a shift now because they're getting more exposed, and people are becoming more aware of the people who are actually authentic, putting out good messages like James. There's going to be a turn, and I think that there's going to be...
Well, even during this period, not to sound too crazy, but there will be a drop-off of a lot of bad coaches and bad
culture, bad fitness culture. It's going to change.
People are going to put in perspective, you know what? Fuck that person putting pictures of their ass up. It doesn't mean shit. We almost nearly died.
Yeah.
And it puts everything... Don't worry about that Louis Vuitton handbag.
Yeah, man, I think what is going to happen because of what's happening now is a positive thing. I think the world is just like, man, we need a fucking reset.
Back to connection, back to your health.
Man, like being grateful for the little things, man. Like just going to the gym. Like how many people take it for granted? How many people take it for granted to go and seeing family and friends and going to the cafe? And it's like, man, like life sucks right now. It's challenging for everybody, but you have to, there's positives and negatives to everything. And the positives in this situation way outweigh the negatives in my mind.
Especially all the positives for those people selling fitness equipment everywhere.
Oh my God,
so
can you imagine?
I've been trying to buy plates.
They're having like economic growth out their ass. But what's going to happen
is Zoom. I wish I had shares in Zoom.
Very true. But what's going to happen now is that they're creating a resale market now. So they're going to not have money for a while. They're going to go these astronomical sales for the next year for however long, or 6 months, however long it lasts. And then they're going to not have any sales for a whole year. And then there's going to create a resale market where people are getting rid of all their shit they bought for like pennies on the dollar, and that's what I'm going to collect it all.
Well, I'm an idiot.
I'm going to get it all.
So I'm still training people.
No, I wish I could get my hands on some. I tried to order a TRX the other day, and it was like an 8-week delivery window, and I was like, nah, fuck that.
So you can still get a good workout body weight, don't you?
Yeah, I do body weight, and I got bands, and just running, doing abs, and not eating like a fucking idiot.
But going back to your talks with the children, because I think that's very cool. You're only one of the few I know that do it. What you're saying to the kids, give us a little insight, and how do they respond?
Well, we talk about social media pressures, we talk about anxiety, we talk about suicide, we talk about body image issues, we talk about eating disorders, and the fact that I've had an eating disorder. I've struggled with mental health most of my life. I've struggled with anxiety. There's not a lot of men in the world that have the ability, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but there's not a lot of men in the world who are able to be vulnerable in front of kids, who have a story that they can relate to. So these kids resonate with me, the ones that struggle, even the ones that don't struggle. And men in general and boys have a tough time being vulnerable and talking about their issues.
Because it's a different world now. They're obviously on social media from a young age.
Exactly. And they're very impressionable. Teenagers are very impressionable. And the shit that's out there right now is dangerous. Not all of it, but the stuff that they're looking at is most of the time. And I just want to be a guiding light. And I'm not trying to prepare. I'm not trying to scare them. I'm just trying to prepare them for the world that's out there, because it's a scary world. And if they're not aware of some of these things, then, they could be susceptible to having a rough go. Yeah. And me being vulnerable and able to tell my authentic story to them and be completely vulnerable, completely open about my struggles and my history, it helps them. And the amount of kids that have messaged me and that relate to me that probably in other wouldn't ever say anything to anybody, and because men hold stuff in. That's why the suicide rate is astronomical for men.
Well, I just talked about even a few last podcast about identity and the fact that obviously it's formed by lots of different ways, and one of them is obviously societal and your culture. And I'm from Ireland, and men don't talk about any
No, it's like a sign of weakness in most countries. Look at Texas,
and we have the highest rate of drinking in the world.
There you go. Well, it's the same thing. You know who the biggest mental health, one of the biggest mental health advocates now that I absolutely, the Gypsy King.
Oh, Tyson Fury.
Mate, he's got an amazing story. He's struggled with mental health, and he's battled back from depression and anxiety and suicide. He was going to drive his brand new car off a cliff, after he won the world title against Klitschko. And so it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how successful you are, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have the ability to have mental health issues, and we all struggle with it. And the problem is not the issue that you're dealing with. It's the problem is that you're not talking about it. So there needs to be some more of a platform and more motivational people and influencers that are in the mental health space. That
by influencers, that influence people.
Yeah, like people who are athletes, and you could listen to a doctor talk about it all the time, but if you don't relate to the person, then it's going to go, you're not going to pay attention to it.
Yeah,
so
it's obviously worse now. Even the way we talk about the illusion of perfection when it comes to training. It's the same way, just life in general. All you see people is posting up the perfect world and that, and you're going to look at your own world and go, well, this fella's having unbelievable times and I beat them.
That's right.
With his new car, what am I doing? I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, the comparison's a thief of joy, and we all do it. Like, I still catch myself getting, comparing myself to people that are in the same space that I am.
Every midlife crisis every day.
Yeah.
Existential crisis. I'm not. What am I doing here? Like.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
I'm not doing. Like, I'm not being. You don't feel like you're doing productive enough.
Yeah. You feel like people. Sometimes you feel like you're fake as fuck. Sometimes you feel like you don't belong. But the truth is, everybody struggles. These are all universal thoughts. These are universal beliefs that we all think about, and we all will let those. If you let them perpetuate, they're gonna ruin you. Yeah. The biggest thing is being aware of it. I know that it's a buzzword, but self-awareness and. That's saying you don't have to listen to your thoughts. They're not true, but just know that everybody has these same thoughts about themselves, and that makes it a little bit easier, because if we're all connected that way and we all relate to that same thing, it makes it more normalized. And that's the thing, is that we got to make this shit more normalized and more in the mainstream, because life isn't perfect. It's fucking ugly sometimes. But the truth is that when you realize that life isn't perfect, you can be more grateful for the small things in life, and you're not so focused on the big things.
What's the easy thing to do? Click unfollow if you're seeing these people and making you feel bad all day about your bodies. They've took 1,000 pictures to make that one look good. Photoshop everything. Don't try to be cliche, like
but just be the best person you can be.
And everyone falls. We fall into it. Like, look at this trainer. He's killing it. What
everybody's looking at how many followers they have. Engagement. I look at all that stuff still. I'm just like, what can I do to get my following up? And there's the Black Mirror. You watch Black Mirror?
Yeah,
the show on Netflix. There's a Netflix. It's so good.
They judge you on how many followers you have. Sorry, you can't come in tonight, sir.
Well, they do it in China already, where you have a social status, and the government actually gives you points based on your social status. And if you don't do it, like, you get docked points, and then it affects you in business, and it's crazy. But that's kind of where we're headed. So
just be aware of it.
Yeah,
make sure you're following good people. Like, you're like,
just follow good people. Follow people who are
educational, all that genuine. But even when it comes to Tyson Fury, one of the reasons I like him is obviously all the stuff he's been through. But he kind of helps aware to join the mix between your mental health and your physical health. He literally says, I feel depressed when I don't eat good, and obviously he's genetically more predisposed to this.
He's predisposed to obesity. He's huge.
That's genetic. That's the cards he's been dealt with. Yeah. But as you said, you're in control of, are you going to make that worse, or are you going to make that better?
Yeah.
Are you going to train and eat good? Are you going to make that feel better? Or, which is one of the things with depression, anxiety, it's not talked about as much, as your physical health will feed that. Like, that will make that worse. So even when it comes to your experience with anxiety and stuff, how do you feel when you're not training and you fall into that trap where a lot of people are now?
It's dark. Yeah, it's dark, man. Like, today was a perfect example. Yeah, man, it was a shitty day until I worked out. And now it turned the whole day around. And if you're not willing to change your situation, you can't bitch about it. Like, you can't complain about it. And if you keep complaining about it, you're going to keep getting the same result. So it's like, what feeling do you want to create? What are you going to do to create that feeling? And you have to hold yourself to that. And writing that shit down, write shit down. We have this weird thing where we don't write stuff down anymore. There's so much power in writing stuff down, writing your daily habits down, your goals, what you want to do that day, the feeling you want to create. What are you going to do to create that feeling? Stuff you're looking forward to. Write down 3 achievements that you've done that day, and like should be getting a habit of doing that. And
you have no excuse now. You've just stopped the 2-3 hour commute to work.
Exactly.
Get up at the same time and just what's my focus on today?
That's right.
And then again, if you need to rearrange your environment, like you said, your client, moving around this couch so you can train in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. So you have to, you literally have to make it easy for yourself, and people are making it hard for themselves.
So the same way, even now, like, I genetically have asthma, all right? And I know if I eat bad and don't train, my asthma is going to get worse.
Yeah, it sure is.
And whatever cards you've dealt with, you have to control. You have to control now. The same way, if people are worried about your corona, okay, you just worrying all day and then eating shit food and fucking cigarette sales are up 400%. Right. What it's just pointless.
Well,
it's ironic.
You can only control 2 things: perception and behavior. That's it. That's what life all boils down to. But we try to control every aspect of our of people. We try to control partners. We try to control our work colleagues. We try to control the world, the environment, the government. All these excuses, but at the end of the day, you literally can only control how you perceive things and then how you behave towards those things. You can't change a lot of things. You can't change another human, that's for sure.
So touching on governments.
Oh shit. Here we go. All right.
Andrew he's a fan of conspiracies.
I don't even like the word conspiracy theorist.
You have to question everything, but
you have to question everything. I come from Bible Belt, Texas, where everybody believes the same thing. And if you don't believe what your dad believes or your family or people you respect.
Same what we're talking about beliefs earlier, so your own beliefs.
Yeah,
man. Other things.
It's so important that you research everything and have your own stance. And you know what? If somebody doesn't agree with you and they treat you differently because of that, that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of them. I know plenty of people that don't believe the same shit I do, but you know what? I don't treat them any different. They're entitled to their opinion. But what we have in this world is a confirmation bias. And if enough people believe in one solid idea and you go against that, you're wrong. Or, we think that we're wrong and we just to follow in and fit in because everybody wants to fit into a fucking group and they don't want to be the one that stands out. That's where confirmation bias comes from, and it's generational. So, and it's very dangerous because, that's how people are controlled, man. That's how people get controlled. And it's historically, it happens over and over and over again. And if you can, it's just, you got to have your own thoughts and you have to be educated enough to research. It's really easy to research things and you have to research both sides. When I was growing up in Christianity, man, that was huge, obviously, where I'm from, the Bible Belt. If you're not a Christian, then you're wrong. And you don't, certain relationships won't happen. You won't get a certain amount of respect.
Well, even American football, you always pray before you go out.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's a confirmation bias. And
I've watched what's the Netflix one? The American football?
Oh, I don't know which one.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them.
It's linked in together.
Yeah, exactly.
In Ireland's the same thing.
So it's confirmation bias. And it's important that, Christians understand, the Quran in Judaism and other religions. And they're so, not everybody, but most of them have no idea about these other religions and they've never been exposed to them, but yet they put all their belief system in one solid belief, like in one system, and they don't really, it's ignorance, man. Like, and you get this a lot with government. You get this a lot with anything that's a big topic. It's confirmation bias, and everybody wants to believe what the big group's believing.
So, did someone eat a bat, or what do you think?
Oh. Man, I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracies out there. There's one, and then there's like it's a biological weapon, obviously from China. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, China is going to be the world power at some point. Yeah. This could be the catalyst, maybe. Yeah. Was it planted? Maybe. Yeah. Was it not? Maybe. Yeah. But I think it's important that we at least keep an open mind. Yeah. And media lies, man. Media tells you whatever the fuck they want. Yeah. And if you call me conspiracy theory because of that, that's completely fine. But at the end of the day, they're actors. They're acting. Like they're not scientists.
It's the same in any aspect.
Well, look at this. Dr. Shiva from MIT has 4 degrees. He's an MIT professor, and he wrote an article to Donald Trump about the coronavirus and how them isolating all of this is not the right thing to do because of the economic downturn it has and the global economic effects this is going to have on the world. It's not worth it because this can easily. There's only a certain percentage of people who are going to get it. Yeah. There's carriers, and then a lot of people they're not going to get it. And a lot of the what he was saying, and he's an MIT professor. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, all of these vitamins that we get naturally from foods that we're deficient in. A lot of this stuff can actually help us combat certain diseases and viruses and bacterias, but we're not doing it, and we're not. And he was I think he's Indian. And his ancestors, they had this way of being healthy and like combating viruses and diseases, and it worked for them for generations. And then he wrote this huge article and he tweeted it, and Twitter flagged it as suspicious and misinformation. And this guy's a fucking MIT professor. He's got 4 fucking degrees. He's more than qualified to put out valuable information that's true, and he has backed by research and science. And whoever governing body of Twitter decides that it's not fucking true. Well, I guarantee you those guys who flagged it, whoever flagged it, Twitter, they don't have 4 fucking degrees and they're not an MIT professor. So there's an agenda here. Like there's some type of agenda that we have in this world that's unseen, and what it is, it's pretty scary. Can we change it? I don't know, but it's good for everybody to at least be aware of something.
It is pretty crazy, but the amount of information we hear on it, and you don't hear people saying like, what can we do to keep your immune system strong? Obviously, man. Us in the know will know you need your sleep's obviously so important. Huge. Vitamin D, there's been research with respiratory stuff which can happen. Zinc and de-stressing if your body's in a fight or flight stress. The blood's going away from your immune system to potentially fight a tiger. Which even
adrenaline moves that shit around.
You watch the news, the big adrenaline dumps. Yeah, man. Fight or flight straight away.
And if you think the media doesn't understand that, it's crazy. Like they put triggers out. Like there's a reason why the media is negative and why it triggers a response, because I think there's a huge agenda with media. I've seen too many references.
What do you think politicians always use that to get elected?
Of course they do.
I actually read a paper on it. It's more of an emotional response, obviously. 100%. If you don't elect me, you're going to get invaded. The first thing that happens, your fight or flight system becomes aware, and you're going to vote for that person.
Well, they've been doing this since World War II. I mean, they used print media to do this shit back in the day, and Hitler came into power. I don't want to go into that, but it's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. It's the same shit. The only difference is now we're in more of a digital age, and there's more avenues for them to use it, and they're going to use it in every avenue platform they can. Yeah. And they know we're looking at it. We know we're going to eat it up, and the confirmation bias sets in. If they can get the majority of people to believe a certain ideal, then they're good.
So question everything, your beliefs, your identities.
Everything, mate. Yes.
The government. Questioning.
The government.
In China, maybe.
Remember, but you get what you focus your attention on. It is good to keep an open mind, but at the same time, man, life is too short. Well, life is way too fucking short.
Even there's a psychologist on Fitzpatrick released a brilliant episode on the corona, because obviously it's in date at the moment. But he said, give yourself, say, 10 minutes a day. That's your attention span you're going to put to this. Okay, what do I need to do? What's important? And that's it. You have 10 minutes. Turn it off. Stop scrolling.
Sure.
Because otherwise it's unproductive.
Absolutely, man.
You're not going to...
Definitely.
And another important question, did Carol Baskin kill a husband.
So what's funny is I showed you before, but the GW Ranch or whatever it's called, I can't remember what it's called.
GW Zoo.
Yeah, GW Zoo is actually 2 hours from where I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth. One road. You get on one highway and then you go straight north, and it's 2 hours and 10 minutes from where I grew up. I never went to that one, but I went to one close to that.
Proper tigers.
Proper tigers, man. Dude, shit. It's crazy. You know, back in the day in Texas, you could order a spider monkey out of a magazine. Spider monkey. It's crazy. Texas is wild. I think like 95% or 90% of the world's tigers are in Texas, in Oklahoma. Because that's in Oklahoma. What's that?
Yeah, and guns.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy place. It brings that, man. Watching that brought back some bad memories. I actually watched the entire thing. Crazy, man. That's just a wild way of life, and that whole story was absolutely insane. I'm not sure if Carol Baskin's murdered her husband or not. Pretty. I think he's in Costa Rica.
Oh, serious?
I think he pieced out and went to Costa Rica. Yeah, but who knows, man.
Poor fucking Joey.
Yeah, no doubt. Still a good show.
President Trump.
Yeah.
I bet this is how crazy, again, what's going on in the world. That was one of the questions the reporter asked him. During the brief, the corona brief. Asked him, there's this TV show on that's getting second most ratings to you.
You've got to be kidding me.
And the guy goes, yeah, he's been in jail. He's got sent to jail for 22 years. And the reporter asked him, would you have a look at it?
He's going to look at it.
He goes, I'll take a look at it.
No way.
Well,
that's what shows you what social media and influence can do. The guy's got millions of followers, and if there's that many people that want to know the truth, I guarantee they're going to do something about it. It's pretty wild.
Too good. All right, finishing that.
Man.
Last one question. What's kind of relating to go back to fat loss, what's kind of one or two of the biggest fat loss myths that you hear on a daily basis? By clients or
myths on fat loss. Keto, like you have to be on a specific diet to lose weight, and I think that there's so much misinformation and so many diets have been thrown around and labeled, and people have to find what diet that works in their lifestyle. It's finding something that they can adhere to the principles and they can sustain over a long period of time. One word that's not restrictive to their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. The less restrictive, the better. But myths.
Keto, you need to eat
keto, and then and just mate, I think running for fat loss is a complete waste of time to me.
I see people running around with 2 knee straps.
Exactly,
on.
man. Like knee
you're
straps.
Crippled. Stop it.
Yeah, and then man. I just think that people need to really take it back to the basics and understand energy balance, calories in, calories out, simplify. Myths, just diets, man, shit diets, and thinking that you have to do something specific to lose weight. It's such an easy thing for most people. What's best exercise? Yeah. Sewing your mouth shut, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, man, I think there's so many myths out there. There's so much misinformation. At the end of the day, the most important thing to do is to find somebody you respect that you know is going to not lie to you. Is going to, help you find...
Same what you're saying. Ask for help. We spent too many years doing stupid shit. And
we've done it. Done it all.
Mentors, that's when you start
fat makes you fat. That's a fucking myth. I thought it for years. That's what essentially created an eating disorder in me, is that I thought that fat created fat. And, just the inability to understand principles and macronutrients. And, there's so much shit out there. And the important thing is that you find somebody you trust. And that's it.
And what are you up to these days? You're working with online clients. Give me a rundown. What you've been doing, how you work with people.
Still work with the James Smith Academy. I'm the head coach of the academy, and then I do my own online PT. Got my own app. I do produce podcasts myself, so I start people's podcasts and edit it and distribute them as a side business. And then
so how are you dealing with people online now? Give us obviously everyone's training from home. You've just adapted all the workouts.
Man. Band workouts, body weight workouts, hit style workouts. My program alone is not all about fitness. Mine is about mental health, mindset, habits, creating good habits. And I run a 60-day program, so that's what I do. And then I have regular subscription programs. But yeah, man, I just want to keep people moving, keep their mind healthy. And realize that it's a process. It's not perfection. It's a process. And
what's your Instagram? Okay,
it's Andrew Davis PT.
Yeah.
Yep, Andrew Davis
Instagram,
PT.
Facebook.
Yep, Andrew Davis PT, and then Andrew Davis Fitness Coach for Facebook. I probably need to change that to Andrew Davis PT. The rules for Facebook's getting crazy, so it's hard to change names around now.
TikTok, not yet.
No, I'll try to do it. I've done a few. I sucked at them, so it wasn't a good one. So, yeah, man. It was a pleasure, man. Enjoyed it.
We'll be first to many. Andrew literally lives 10 minutes away.
Yeah,
so
mate.
we'll be first to many.
Yes.
All right. I will speak to you all in the next episode.